Watching News at Prime, let's get you into this conversation now. The 23 South Africans who were allegedly trafficked to Myanmar are back home. This was confirmed by the Department of International Relations and Cooperation, which said the victims were promised jobs in Thailand. For this story, we're joined by the Dirco Minister's spokesperson, Chrispin Phiri, who talks to us from Pretoria this evening. Mr. Phiri, good evening to you, and thank you very much for your time. So the South Africans who were trafficked all the way to Myanmar, initially they thought they were getting jobs in Thailand. Tell us how they find themselves in Myanmar, which borders Thailand.
Yes, thank you, Xoli. It's a pleasure to join you and your viewers from our Tambo building in Pretoria, headquarters of Dirco. Indeed, what we are seeing here is a group of victims who believed that they are successful job applicants and ultimately found themselves in Myanmar, where they were then subsequently put in a compound, a cybercrime compound, and forced to do illicit activities, scamming other people across the world at least 16 hours a day, and also being subjected to completely inhumane conditions, such as being forced to eat horrible food, at least rotten food, that's what we know, and a number of other very inhumane activities. As we speak today, these individuals are back home, are still being interviewed by South African Police Services, the Hawks, as well as the Department for Social Development from a psychosocial support perspective. So this is still ongoing, and we believe that the Hawks and all other law enforcement agencies will be able to really unravel the element of those details, the aspect of human trafficking, if any, and how it happened and what the consequences would be to follow. So that element will be really taken forward by the Hawks. But from our perspective as the Ministry and the Department of International Relations, we are pleased that these individuals were back home, and we have successfully repatriated them with the assistance of our counterparts in Thailand through some of the bilateral agreements that we have entered into, particularly one on anti-human trafficking and cyber crime, and also transnational crime. So this is really a significant development, and it really shows the importance of these bilateral instruments that we often hold in high esteem between two nations.
Yeah, it's good to know that they are receiving support as they try to reintegrate back into the country. The bigger lesson here, Mr. Phiri, about seeing things on social media and acting up on it. How did these individuals get to Thailand in the first place? I think that has to be explained, and you then take us through what the warning should be to South Africans who may be lured in the same manner.
So these individuals were lured through an online job offer, and this offer seemed to be very, very appealing and honestly seemed to be too good to be true. It promised them all expenses paid to Thailand. It promised them an air ticket. It promised them a very high-paying salary in US dollars. And these individuals believed that this was a lucrative offer, and indeed then acted in accordance with that offer, only to arrive in Thailand, and upon arrival, their travel documents were taken away. And then they were shipped off to Myanmar, where they were put in this compound that I referred to earlier. So the long and short of it, Xoli, and for our viewers at home, is if something seems too good to be true, it probably is. But what is very critical, and I think this is a step that we should all apply regardless of what we are going overseas for, is to ensure that, one, you contact the Department of International Relations to ensure that you have assistance in our missions abroad, and we will be able to facilitate that. We have an app called Travel Smart. It's found on all of the various downloadable stores, Play stores, and you can download that app and it will give you all the necessary details. But also, if you receive information pertaining to another country, also take the initiative to check our website and check if that country has representation in South Africa, so that you can contact that embassy or liaison office to ensure that the information that you have received can be verified with the corresponding country. That will ensure that you are taking steps to really verify this information. But lastly, and most importantly, is when traveling abroad, ensure that your friends know, or your family know exactly where you're going, and there's a contact person that they can reach in that country.
Yeah.
That will reach this law enforcement to be able to trace you if you're in a foreign country. But Oli, we do want to say that this was not an easy exercise. It was a very, very complex exercise that Dirco and a number of other departments have pulled off. And we must not create the impression that government will always be there to save the day. So let's all take measures to ensure that when we are traveling abroad for these type of things, or for where offers exist, we do everything possible to verify this information, so that in the event that there's such a tragedy, government at least is able to trace you, or that means to trace an individual in a more expedited process. These individuals spent an inordinate amount of time under very inhumane conditions.
Yep. And I think your statement says it was about 4 months that they spent there. I think the last point that you're making there, that this was not an easy task trying to repatriate them back home. Just very quickly, I want to move on to another subject. How much did Dirco spend? Because you were the one that ended up paying for all their costs to come back home.
Chloe, I don't have those figures with me at the moment, but should the need arise, we can transparently reveal that through the relevant channels. But unfortunately, at the point of releasing the statement, I didn't have those figures.
All right. Another story that bears the hallmarks of human trafficking, Mr. Phiri, is the discovery of yet another group of Ethiopian nationals in one of the suburbs in Johannesburg. Back in January, 26 were discovered. This time around, over 30 of them are currently being questioned by the police. Is the department involved in this? And if so, how far is your involvement? What do you know at this stage?
In this instance, the law enforcement agencies will take precedence, Tolly, and they would then advise us what the steps are. And also, of course, we have a national committee on human trafficking, and they would be also dealing with this matter, ably led, might I add, by our Department of Justice and Constitutional Development. So that is a matter that would fall within their ambit. And I think when they are in a position to take the nation into confidence around the facts of this issue, they would certainly do so. But yes, to facilitate various elements of the agreements and bilateral agreements that we would have with other countries, that's where Dirco would come in. But in this instance, because it's within our borders, then it would definitely be the law enforcement agencies who are taking the lead.
So that's in regard the latest case of Ethiopian nationals. In the January one, the 26 individuals, were you involved in their repatriation back home?
Which one is that? I'm not specifically clear. Which country was that from?
This was a group of Ethiopian nationals, 26 of them that were discovered in a house in January in the same Sandringham area in South Africa. I'm curious to know whether there was any involvement of your department in their case.
That would still be within the ambit of the law enforcement to give a further explanation on. But like I say, insofar as us enforcing a bilateral agreement, that is where Dirco would feature a bit more prominently in the domestic setting, or if it's a matter within our borders. So both cases would be for our specialist law enforcement agencies to provide ample details on for our viewers.
Well, thank you very much for your time, and we do appreciate you coming and talking to us at such short notice. Chrispin Phiri speaks for the Minister of International Relations and Cooperation this evening.